Okay, so now our cakes came out, and I actually had an appointment and something to do, and so I couldn't show you as I took them out of the oven. But it's the same thing, you know. In the blog, I actually tell you you want your top to spring back, and these spring back very nicely. I don't leave any indentations in the tops. So when I take them out of the oven, let's say I just took them out of the oven right now, what I would do, and I'm going to stand up for this, is I would give it a quick little shake like that, and make sure that you can hear that kind of slapping all around so that you know that you've loosened the whole cake. And then I tent it with tin foil or with a kitchen towel, just so that I'm not evaporating all the moisture out willy-nilly. And so it's not a quick cool, it's a slow cool over several hours, so that it keeps as much of the moisture as it can. So then I take one of my cake circles, and this is an 8-inch round, so I'm going to do it with an 8-inch cake circle. And I'm just going to flip it over, and it comes right out. Because cake release, yay! So there's one, and I can just flip this back onto here easily. And you can see how relatively flat this is without any, without ever having leveled or done anything else with it. It's already a pretty flat cake. And because I did it with the simple Wosk recipe, it's as if I baked it in a 2-inch pan. I didn't need the 3-inch for this, but just let it rise as much as it wanted to. So I'm going to do the same thing with this, and I already loosened this one too. And I'm just going to flip it over. There we go. And if I'd had a flour nail here, if I'd had a flour nail, it would have been right in here, and I would have just lifted it out, taken it out, and put it off to one side. And so here, what I'm going to do is, this is actually not a crumbly cake at all, and since it's small, I don't have to go grab another cake circle to do this. So there we go. So they're both, like I said, they both spring back pretty easily on the tops like this. Neither one of them had pulled back an awful lot from the sides, and it's just a very solid, very easy, sturdy cake. So I'm just going to take my Agbe, and I haven't measured this out. I should have measured this out ahead of time, but it's easy enough to do real quick here. Watch the fingers. Watch the fingers. Never approach the Agbe from the side of the sharp blades, always from the back. So I'm just going to bring this down to where I want it. That'll level pretty nicely if I do. It's 1 inch and 1 inch what I picked, and actually this would stand to go just a touch more because I have the cake circle at the bottom there, and the cake circle takes just a touch there. So I'm not going to go all the way from the edge, but I'm going to go close enough. Watching your fingers, don't let this go up against your fingers again. But if you place it on a sticky mat, or not a sticky mat, I'm sorry, a silicone mat, it's just that much easier to have your cake stay in place. And there we go. There's, I didn't lose that much of a dome, but I have a nice, relatively flat surface there. Or not relatively flat, I have a nice flat surface, what am I saying? And then I should have gotten more cake circles. Hold on. Okay, and then I can just lift with my cake lifter. I can just lift my my one layer off. Put my other layer here. Do the exact same thing with my next one. And let me just check and see. This one is a touch shorter than the other one was, so I might want to bring this one back down just to make my layers as nice and straight as I can. I bring this one just a touch down too. There we go. Okay. Does that look good? That looks good. And then we'll go here. I could have gone a little bit lower even. I still could if I wanted to run it again. There we go. And there's the top of my cake. And here's my other Wilton lifter. And there's my other cake. So if I wanted to, I could even give it one more pass here and make it a little bit flatter. But the point is, after this, and again, since I just took these off, I never, ever, ever, ever want to leave blades open, especially if you have kids in the house. These things cut, man. You will remember me. And after the first time you get yourself, you will never make the same mistake again. But here's what I do. I'm going to want to freeze these because they retain moisture so much more nicely. The crumb, it makes such a difference in the crumb. So I always program it so that I can freeze at least for one night, at least overnight. And I will build that into my schedule for caking. So what I'm doing here is I'm covering it up just regular tin foil, not the heavy duty kind, because if you do it with the heavy duty kind, it makes big creases and it can actually crease the sides of your perfectly round and gorgeously torted cake. So don't do that. But just gently cover over so that there's no air anywhere, okay? And then you'll do that for each one of your layers. And you can place a couple of these on top of each other. I would never place more than, I would never place more than 2 until they're frozen, because you don't want to crush your layers, especially if you're working with a delicate cake. The wasp is super sturdy, but if you're working with a delicate cake, you don't want to ever place more than 2 of these on top of each other, at least for the beginning. Let's go with this one. Okay, and that's it. I'm going to take these and I'm going to stick them in the freezer. And then tomorrow I am going to show you how to fill and ice them with a nice dam. And that'll be fun. Okay, we'll talk some more then. Thanks.